Why is the Hokage here? Naruto anime was not selected using voting method. This is a pretty interesting question to discuss, due to the fact that in the Naruto anime series, how to choose Hokage, Aka the supreme leader of the village of Konoha, not use voting procedures like in modern countries. In the real world, let's take the presidential election in America, where his presidential election was using methods. General election, by direct voting done by each individual in the country, both commoners and elitists. In voting-based general elections, the term one vote, one choice is very common. But why the selection method did not inspire Masashi Kishimoto as the main creator of this Naruto series to apply it within the Naruto story? The answer is that democracy and the presidential election using voting, it's only profitable the capitalists alone. Masashi Sensei seemed to want to say that the appointment of an ideal leader in a country is by way of deliberation. That democracy says is just for the capitalists and the rich people, conglomerate alone. It is true of the people. Many voted in the election, and as legitimacy for power, ruler is represented by the people, who sits pretty on the council, and yet the pleasure is only for a few people. Advocates during the campaign are investors and financiers. Allegiance of the ruler in a capitalist democratic system is to investors, not to the people. Even if people were given promises during the campaign ahead of the election, it's just a false promise. This situation begins with the electoral system. On capitalist democratic system, either to elect the regional head or the head of the central government who entrusted enormous cost. Those who have no capital or unsupported by financiers, we can be sure, will not be able to qualify in the nomination market until collaboration, mutualism, relationship between entrepreneurs and investors with the future ruler must happen. Here is the mission vision, credibility, and the idealism of the future head of government will eventually fall hostage. Grandiose promises to the people during the campaign, vision and mission to build the region or nation of character, almost certainly will be forgotten. That's the reason why Masashi Kishimoto, how to choose Hokage in the series, using the appropriate means, with the teachings of Islam, which is to use the way of deliberation and the direct appointment by the village officials. We can see this for the first time when the election process of Danzo became Hokage in place of the dying Tsunade. After arc, attack Konoha by pain. The earliest thing Daimyo asked as a leader, the country of fire, to the village officials about the criteria a village leader was about Nasib alias, teacher lineage, of the nominated Hokage nominees. Example is, in this case, Kakashi, who was recommended by Sakaku be Hokage. He was immediately questioned by Daimyo, genealogy of teachers who teach it, and also, what makes he was recommended to be a Hokage was because he was a student of the 4th Hokage. And the 4th Hokage was a pupil of Jiraiya, who is the student of the 3rd Hokage. So you could say this teacher lineage is highly emphasized to make someone worthy of being a Hokage. This can be said to be very, very consistent with Islamic teachings. Where is the lineage or genealogy of teachers? This is highly emphasized inside Islamic teachings as an indicator that shows how quality someone in terms of science and also in the appointment of public officials and so forth. other than the lineage or lineage of teachers. Performance and ability is also very concerned in the selection of a Hokage. We can see in the case of Yandami Hokage election, that is Minato Namikaze, where he was made a Hokage when his age was still so young, because of his achievements recognized by the world. Being a hero on the Third Ninja World War, he was eventually appointed a Hokage, and the election process itself is to use a direct appointment way that the third Hokage did as the leader of valid at the time, who have entered retirement period. So it's actually in the Naruto series itself. There are two processes of election procedure. Election of a Hokage, which is to use the way of deliberation, and also use a way, direct appointment. And again, this can be said to be 100% imitating what's going on inside Islamic history, where in the history of Islam itself, designation of Abu Bakr as Siddiq, one can be said to be a faithful friend of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is death, he was appointed a caliph, the first to replace the Prophet. After his death, he was appointed a caliph, using the procedure of deliberation, wherein the deal grilled ash chosen to be caliph, because it is the first person who acknowledged the events of Isra Miraj, and he was the one who accompanied the Prophet Muhammad. He is also a very persistent person in protecting people who embrace Islam. He is also the Imam of prayer, successor of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was sick, and after agreeing, Umar bin Khattab finally shook the hand of Abu Bakr and declared his allegiance to the Abu Bakr. Recognized leadership Abu Bakr as Siddiq as a caliph. Then it was followed by Sa'd bin Baca and other Muslims, and eventually all Aka, the entire Muslim community in state led by Islam at the time recognized Abu Bakr as Siddiq as a caliph. And while in the story of Umar's appointment as caliph, the procedure is very, very different, which is the appointment in the second way of what's happening inside Naruto's world. That is, by way of direct appointment, where it is told that the Abu Bakr call Utsman bin Affan to write a will, which contains the appointment of Umar bin Khattab as his replacement in the future. Purpose of that thing, which Abu Bakr, as Siddiq says, is so that, after his death, there is no possibility of discord among Muslims to the problem. Appointment of the Caliph. Islam. Yeah, why? Ordinance for the appointment of a Caliph has two ways. In fact, there are many ways of appointment. Different Caliphs in each era, other than the two ways. That is, deliberation and also direct appointment. There are also ordinances by means of the appointment of the caliph through the bloodline, which was done by dynastic dynasties of Islam after the reign of Khulafa Rashidun ended. Yes, the real reason of all of that is because Islam does not regulate the ordinance at all. Selecting a leader, which is governed by Islam, is Islam must have one leader, who are the patrons and representatives of God. On the face of the earth is a caliph. On the face of the earth. Yes, it can be said, Islam actually have to have a leader, and it is manifested in several form of government and also political in its Islamic teachings, like what happened during the Khulafa Rashidun, Umayyad and Abbasid and Uthmani dynasties, and so forth. They can all recognized as a form of government. Caliph Aka Caliphate, that shades or protects Muslims around the world as goddess representative on earth in their respective times. And the question is whether this could happen again in the future. Because in reality, and in fact, at this time, Islam does not have a leader, shade, or protecting Muslims around the world, which can be called, or can be said as a caliphs on earth. As mentioned in the Quran, and also Hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about a caliph aka ulul amri, leaders of the people around the world. Yes, we hope in the future will be present, a true caliph, as in the past. When Islam enter time, the gold era. Okay, maybe our discussion today about Islamic teachings in Naruto anime may be useful to you guys. And don't forget to also like, subscribe, and if you guys have other opinions as well as suggestions or criticisms, can you add your guys' comments on comment section down below. End word. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we meet again in the next videos.